Hi guys, so this 056 AV Super is making a very strange noise, and I'll follow up with the video in a second. You can have a listen. So I can't figure out what it is. I think it must be internal. So we're gonna strip it down, and I thought I'd bring you along for the journey, and we'll see what we find. I have no idea, but yeah, we'll see. It's just not right. I can hear it even there. Okay, back again. This time we got the clutch and everything off. So I'm going to start up again and see if it's still making that horrible noise. It's coming from the engine. Hi guys, so time to give you a bit of an update as to what's going on. So I've cleaned everything out, taken it all apart. There's no movement in this conrod bearing in any angle. There's no movement in either bearing, crankshaft bearing. The piston ring end gap was 0.52 at the top and 0.4 at the bottom, so I've just flipped those over to have the tighter one at the top, but they're still absolutely fine. I mean, yes, they're a tiny bit warm, but they're not the end of the world. Piston skirt to cylinder wall clearance, I did a number of different measurements in different parts. The worst was 0.3 millimeter clearance, and the least amount of clearance is 0.19. So again, not ideal. It would be nice to put a new piston in there. However, I don't believe that to be the cause of my issues. I have noticed I'm getting some blowback through the exhaust, through the intake, so I'm getting a bit of a wet air filter. So that could be the reason, but anyway, that's that. There is a little bit of scuffing on the exhaust side, and yeah, it's not ideal, but I think that's more related to heat expansion rather than overheating. And intake, there is some scoring from debris. But I went over that with some Scotch-Brite just to take the edge off, make sure there's no sharp edges, and just did a bit of a clean up on that side. And then that's reflective in the cylinder. I took the carbon out and gave it a quick once over. That's the intake polishing, that side. Cleaned the exhaust port out, took the carbon out of there. That is the side where the piston was rubbing against. I went over it with a bit of Scotch-Brite and just cleaned it off. I don't know whether that's actually transfer left. I could put a little bit of acid on there, but I'm not going to bother. It's ran fine how it is, and yeah, I think it's probably a combination of polishing. Yeah, it actually could be polishing, but it also could be a bit of transfer, but not the end of the world. I'm not going to spend hours on getting this all perfect. Just 15 minutes of getting rid of the carbon, and I'm going to slap it back together. Small end, there was no issues there either. I took the gudgeon pin off and gave that a clean. Or some Scotch-Brite, removed some of the carbon that was on there. And of course the ring lands as well, they had carbon on. I've cleaned those out too. So all in all, I haven't found it. There is no issue inside the engine. So I'm going to put this back together, and then I'm going to try and assemble it without the muffler on. We'll start the saw and see how that runs. We'll do it tomorrow. And then if that hasn't changed it, I'm going to start the engine and take the recoil cover off and see if that's made a difference. It's going to be one of those two. I'm guessing now it's the muffler, but no, internals look really good. So there was debris in there, so I sloshed it out. I've got a little fuel bottle. Is that the fuel one? No, that's the oil one. Similar to that. There you go. Got a fuel bottle, and I just sloshed it all around and emptied it out, and that's all good. So Foggy Cell fix. Shout out to Foggy Cell. Thank you, mate. It's been a great fix. A little bit of Permatex number 3 on the gaskets. We'll do a bit of a pressure and vacuum test. If there is a slight leak at the seals, I'm not going to worry about it. This is an old saw, and slight leak is I'd rather run it with a slight leak. It's only going to get run occasionally rather than spend upwards of $50 to try and import seals that are probably going to be new old stock. Sorry, not new old stock. They're going to probably be aftermarket. I won't be able to get hold of new old stock. So that's what it is. I have yet to find the issue, but everything looks fairly good, to be honest. Like I'm actually surprised it is that good. There was not that much carbon built up in there. So yeah, give you a bit of a closer look on that. Can you see clearly? There you go. You can see where I've gone over with a bit of Scotch-Brite. Just trying to clean up any. There we go. So here's what it is. We will continue to dig. Right, so just did a pressure and vacuum test and held pressure, no problem at all, went up to 7 psi, it was great. Held vacuum up to 10 INHG, went to 11 and it slowly bled back to 10. So it's a tiny bit under spec, but I'm more than happy. I thought it was going to, I really thought the seals weren't going to hold at all. Now, I was told by a friend to just gently rattle or tap and see if you can get that resonating sound again. Listen to this. Now, I tried to get this off when everything was together, but the bolts were seized on, so I needed to use a propane torch. Listen to this. And now, if I do a bit of a rattle on the table, it's got that ting 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 like it's the I think it is that. I think it's that plate that's that one there. If it's not that, maybe it's some. But it's definitely that tinny sound, isn't it? I'm not trying to show you the knock. I'm trying to show you this metal clank. I believe it must be that, because everything in there is good. Okay guys, we're back together. No muffler, so it's going to be stupidly loud. I might step back a little bit so it'll be a bit clearer. We'll see if it's making that rattling noise. Oh, did I do the spark plug up? Oh, I didn't do the spark plug all the way. That's fine, I'll just do finger tight. Just for a second, it'll be okay. Nice does that sound though? I don't think it's doing it. There's a slight plasticky rattle, but I believe that's the starter. So that's good. That was funny, it ran on choke because obviously it's got much more airflow. So, I mean, I maybe you could hear it. I sure couldn't. I did hear, as I said, a little bit of plasticky rattling, which I think is either recoil or the clutch. Probably more likely the recoil. It sounded recoil side, but that's the normal sound. There definitely wasn't any of that. Again, at least to my ear, that little clanking sound. So. Yeah, you can't put price on peace of mind, so it's worth just popping the cylinder head off, checking everything out, and yes, to answer a few people's questions, why didn't I replace the parts that need to be replaced? It's a 45-year-old saw, and if I want to do that, I'm going to be probably spending $500. So new crank bearings, new small end bearings, gudgeon pin, piston, rings. Really, it should probably be the cylinder with the condition the cylinders are in. New clutch drum bearing. I mean, the list is just endless. You can throw so much money at, and at the end of the day, all it's going to do is sit up on the shelf. Look. So I might take it off for a few cuts, maybe a few times a year, spend an hour on it, and have some fun with it. But apart from that, it's not going to do anything other than sit there. So even though we are out of spec with the piston, that's not causing our issue, and it's definitely not causing any running issues. A slight bit of spit back through the muffler, I can live with that. Again, if this was a saw that I was going to use the whole time, it was my primary firewood saw, yeah, sure, I'd invest the money into it like I have done with some of the saws up there, and the 076 Super. I wanted to do a good job on that as well, but not on this one, not for me, but we'll see where it goes. The other thing was, let me just think for a second. Can't remember. Not a big deal. But there we go. That's a little bit of a rundown as to what it was. I believe now it's the muffler. There's a little baffle plate in there. Not really a baffle plate. It's more of a deflector. And I think that's what the issue is. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. It's always interesting to see inside engines and see how things work. And nice to have a bit of peace of mind knowing that there's nothing internally wrong, but worn. That's it. All right. Catch you guys. Bye.